it's kind of amazing to me that the corporate media and the Democrats who have obsessively called Donald Trump a bigot for the last, since at least 2016, have nothing to say about turning to your opponent and calling him a Palestinian, as if that's supposed to be just an insult. Just imagine replacing that with any other group. Like if he had just turned and called him a Jew or something like that, as if that's some like horrible thing to be. I think that, look, no presidential candidate wants to stand up for where the majority of Americans are, which is that they want a permanent ceasefire in this war, and all of them are just trying to outcompete the other one over who can be more hardcore. But I got to say, for Donald Trump, who supposedly represents like this America First position, for him to someone like Joe Biden, a lifelong self-described Zionist who is currently unconditionally, in effect, backing Israel's assault of Gaza, to call him a Palestinian. It's like when the Republicans used to say Obama was too soft on foreign policy.
Piers Morgan brought on Dave Smith, Cenk Uygur, and this guy right here in the middle, who you can just tell by looking at him what his political beliefs are, who he voted for, and everything like that. But this thing got very, very inflammatory later on. It went nuclear, and Piers Morgan sure knows how to bring people together in order to create a lot of content for himself. You got to give him that. I know he says a lot of things that people don't like very much, but he definitely knows how to, put some good content out, some entertaining stuff, and have some pretty important conversations at the same time. Dave Smith absolutely wiped the floor with all these wokies over here on the Piers Morgan Uncensored show. And like I said, a very unlikely team up between Dave Smith and Cenk Uygur. Let's get into this clip here of this Piers Morgan clip where Dave Smith and Cenk Uygur team up on these woke idiots over on this show.
So Saudi Arabia and Iran and foreign policy all of the time. You don't watch the Young Turks, so you make assumptions.
Sure, but
why do I focus on Israel these days? Why do I focus on Israel these
how much
days?
you complain about Israel?
The reason I focus on Israel these days, because they're the ones in the middle of slaughtering 37,000 people. It's not complicated. The reason you don't want to focus on that is because you want to have different rules for Israel. Hey, let's blame Saudi Arabia, Iran, etc. Great, no problem. We all agree. Then you say, when it comes to Israel, no. They're allowed to slaughter 15,000 children, and we're not allowed to criticize. And then you say AIPAC is not for Israel's interest. It's literally called American Israel Political Action Committee.
All right,
it's for Israel. They're a top ally, Democratic majority for Israel.
I want to bring in other panelists. Javier, you went to Israel about 100 days after the October.
By the way, this conflict is horrible and everything. If we're looking on the bright side of it, it's exposing very easily. It's allowing everybody to have a litmus test as to who is sold out, who is just in it for money, who is just in it to get more followers, whatever, and who was actually out there seeking the truth. People like Dave Smith, Candace Owens, those people have earned a lot of my respect. Even people on the other side of things, Ana Kasparian, Cenk Uygur, these guys, I'm not going to say Hassan, because that guy, he's just an extremist. Like, that guy he's not looking for truth. He's just like, I just want to be as extremely left as possible. And it annoys me that I even align with somebody like that on any issues at all. But at least Dave Smith, Ana Kasparian, Cenk Uygur, Candace Owens, these people, they're earning a lot of my respect, because there's people out there like Ben Shapiro and, even people who are around him, like Matt Walsh and these guys Jordan Peterson, these types of people, Dave Rubin, they are just blindly supporting Ben Shapiro's favorite country. And there's just, if you actually look into it, there's really bad things happening. And there's bad things that have been caused by both sides of this, but they act like it's only been one. And I'm not some huge, Palestine supporter, outside of these situations. It's just, I really don't like what Israel is doing, and I really don't like that people have come out, so many people, Thomas Massey being one of them, have come out and said that they have such a stranglehold on American politicians, AIPAC does, and it's now allowing people who who watch these things to decide very easily who they should trust and who they shouldn't. It's becoming very, very blatant, very, very obvious, and that's one bright side to this whole thing, if there was any at all.
October 7th attacks to, as you put it, uncover the truth behind the headlines. What did you find?
You know, I found a lot of the fraudulent narratives are just being covered up by the media, or we're just being gaslighted about what's actually happening there and what happened on October 7th. I still think a lot of people are confused about what happened on October 7th. Like, I was unaware. I actually just got back from Israel last week again. I went for a third time, and I didn't know that a lot of the Palestinian civilians were out there kidnapping hostages as well and then selling them to Hamas for about $10,000 is my understanding. And, you know, it's really tragic to see that all of this has happened, and people are so busy saying that it's complex, but the history might be complex, but what's happening today is a very simple issue. You have one side that is fighting a war against terror, and then you have another side that is trying to lead a genocide against Jews and Christians worldwide. So I see it very black and white or actually, I shouldn't say that. It's not black and white. I know there's a lot of criticisms you can put on both sides, but ultimately what it comes down to is we need to get terrorism out of the Middle East. We need to get this extremism to be put to a halt, and that takes more people being honest and objective about what's really happening.
Yeah, man, let's be honest and objective by traveling to one country and asking their opinion on a terrorist attack and the retaliation to that terrorist attack on the people who committed the terrorist attack. Like, come on, dude. That's not unbiased. That's not honest. That's bad faith. You travel to a country and you ask people in that country what they thought about another country who committed a terrorist attack on them, and then ask them their opinion on the retaliation. If you ask America on the retaliation of, you know, what happened on 9/11 and killing bin Laden and everything like that, a lot of people, most Americans, especially Ben Shapiro type Americans, would say, yeah, it's justified. But if you ask anybody who's from the other country, they might say the other thing. You know, they might say the opposite of that. So, like, that's really, really dumb. Also, look closely at the reactions on people's faces on Cenk Uygur, on Piers Morgan. I know you can't see him, but especially Dave Smith and Cenk Uygur, because whenever this guy and this lady say that Hamas did bad things, Palestinians did bad things, Cenk Uygur is like all animated saying, no, no, no. Dave Smith is kind of just like, yeah, you're right, because he is right. You know, there were bad things committed. I don't think there's any good guys in this thing, personally. And that might trigger a lot of people, whatever. I don't think there's any good guys. There's nobody that I'm rooting for in this war. I think they're both bad. I think they're both bad guys, both sides. And that's, I think, kind of what Dave Smith thinks as well. Let's see what he has to say here.
Over there.
Dave Smith, your response to that?
Well, there's been a lot said. I mean, I would just point out, because you started by playing that clip of Donald Trump in the debate, and of course, as rightfully the story has been about Joe Biden's catastrophic performance, but that's kind of let Donald Trump slide. It's kind of amazing to me that the corporate media and the Democrats, who have obsessively called Donald Trump a bigot for the last, since at least 2016, have nothing to say about turning to your opponent and calling him a Palestinian, as if that's supposed to be just an insult. Just imagine replacing that with any other group. Like if he had just turned and called him a Jew or something like that, as if that's some like horrible thing to be. I think that, look, no presidential candidate wants to.
If you enjoy content like this, make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
Stand up for where the majority of Americans are, which is that they want a permanent ceasefire in this war, and all of them are just trying to outcompete the other one over who can be more hardcore. But I got to say, for Donald Trump, who supposedly represents like this America First position, for him to someone like Joe Biden, a lifelong self-described Zionist who is currently unconditionally, in effect, backing Israel's assault of Gaza, to call him a Palestinian. It's like when the Republicans used to say Obama was too soft on foreign policy while he was starting wars in Libya and Syria and Yemen and escalating the war in Afghanistan. It's just totally removed from reality, totally tone deaf.
And I know people give me so much heat when I say this, but those are the types of things that make me think this whole thing is a stage and this whole thing is planned. I know that people think that all the higher ups, the three-letter agencies, the WEF, and these people who are really pulling the strings up top, they're so worried about Donald Trump. They're so scared of him. But Donald Trump saying things like that, it kind of like what Dave Smith is talking about, it makes me think that he is also kind of okayed. Like he is kind of put in the ring to make people think that they have a fighting chance. Like, oh, if you elect Donald Trump, that means like, you elected the rebel, the outlaw of he's not part of the establishment and everything like that. But then he says things like that. He calls Joe Biden a Palestinian, and it's like, he supported that country, Ben Shapiro's favorite country, over and over and over again, said that he would continue to send aid over there over and over and over again. We know that's the case. And it just makes me think, like, do we have a chance at all of ever electing someone who will put America actually first? Is that even an option ever? I think the answer is no. If Donald Trump's not going to be the one to do it, he's supposed to be the one that's an outlaw, a rebel. He's not part of the establishment. If he's not even willing to put America first, truly, do we ever have a chance? You know, and people give me so much heat for saying that because I know I have so many diehard Trump supporters, and, you know, obviously I want Trump to win the next election compared to, you know, the alternative there. But when it comes to like foreign policy, do we ever have a chance of having someone who's truly America first? To me, I'm kind of black-pilled on it. I don't think we do. I don't think there's any chance of it happening unless there's a major overhaul of who's pulling the strings in the world, which I don't know how that would happen.
And it's amazing that there are these pocket aces that none of the candidates, including Bobby Kennedy, want to play, which would be very popular with the American people to simply say, we don't want any part of this.
Right. I mean, it's interesting.
Because it doesn't matter what the American people think. I think that's what it comes down to. They know that they have to get the right people who are actually in power on their side. And the people who are actually in power, according to a lot of people, like Thomas Massey and like Tucker Carlson and these people like Dave Smith, talks about it a lot. People who are actually in power, they don't want you to say that you're staying out of that war, because why would they want that? The people who are actually pulling the strings and you know, giving people money to get elected and giving people money once they get elected to make certain decisions, they're the weapons manufacturers. They don't want you to stay out of wars. They want you to get in more wars. You know, that's AIPAC. Why would they want you to support Ben Shapiro's favorite country, not so that you're staying out of the war? You know what I'm saying? And we can't get too deep on that for obvious reasons, but these people, they're all sold out, it seems. Even Donald Trump, who's supposed to be the outlaw. I don't know. People get so mad at me for saying that, but why else would he, like Dave Smith said, it's a layup. It's pocket aces. It's so easy. Just say you're truly America first and that you don't want any part of this war, and that you're going to get us out of there. And they won't say that. They won't say that about Israel. They won't say that about Ukraine. They won't say that about any of these conflicts. And it just makes you think, do we really have a chance of ever electing someone who's America first? Let me know in the comments what you think about Dave Smith and Cenk Uygur destroying these two woke idiots over here in the middle. Dave Smith is, you know, he's growing on me a lot. I didn't really have a strong opinion on him for a long time. Ever since this whole Middle East conflict has been going down, he's earned my respect for sure. Let me know in the comments what you're thinking about this whole Dave Smith, Cenk Uygur on Piers Morgan situation.